Hey, what's going on, veterans? Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the Veterans Claim Service Podcast. I'm super stoked today because I am with Dr. Prashant Sharma, a Air Force veteran, board certified psychiatrist, and I'm just excited today. We're going to be having a conversation with him about um, some of the potential new DBQs that are going to be coming out, right, for evaluations of veterans. Just his time in the service. Thank you, by the way, Dr. Sharma, for your time in the Air Force. And just, some of the things that he sees on a continual basis with veterans, right? Because he talks to them day in and day out and evaluates them. And really the difference between minimizing and lying, because veterans, remember, you don't want to over exaggerate or be fraudulent in anything that you're claiming, but you also don't want to minimize. So we're going to talk about that balance as well. And Dr. Prashant, welcome to the Veterans Claim Service Podcast. Thank you for joining me today. How are you doing, brother?
Yeah, not bad, brother. Yeah, thanks for having me, and thank you for your service as well, Blake. It's great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me a little bit about your service. How long were you in for, and when did you go in? When did you come out?
Sure, yeah. So I joined the Air Force back in 2011, and I stayed in for 4 years. So I got out in 2015. I was a flight surgeon, what's more commonly called a flight doc, pretty much.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I was attached to KC 135 Squadron. Those are the big aerial refuelers. And so it was really cool. I was able to see a lot of different airframes, and it was really interesting. I deployed to the Middle East, different parts of Afghanistan, and got a lot of experience in primary care and medicine. Yeah, I'm really thankful for the service, and it was a great experience overall.
I love it. What parts of Afghanistan were you in?
Yeah, so it was three main parts: Bagram, Kandahar, and Mazari Sharif in the north as well.
Okay, so I was not up in I did spend some time in the north, did a lot of convoy missions, but I was at Kandahar Airfield and Bagram Airfield. Actually, a couple of our motor pools were there, or we started, and then we would go out to FOBs, outpost, cops, things like that. But awesome, man. That's really great. When was the last time that you were there? Were you in Afghanistan in 2011 or?
Uh, no, but I went in 2012, but I think I was mostly there in 2013, like the first half of 2013. Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Me too.
Oh,
So,
wow.
maybe we were on the same base. I was there 2013 to 14 with a unit out of Germany. What base were you at it in 2013?
So we kept moving around because we were
Yeah.
doing aeromedical evac. So Kandahar, actually the three bases, but I think mostly Kandahar and Bagram. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Our motor pool, that 2013-14 deployment was out of Bagram, and then we went to Ghazni, and we spent a lot of time at Fob Shank. We
Oh,
called that Rocket City. I think we got mortared every day.
man. Oh my God.
Yeah, so while I was in too, I did a lot of combat missions. So, hey, thank you
Yeah.
for your service, man. And what a small world. I've known you for a little while now, and I did not know that who knows, we were probably on Bagram at the same time. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
I didn't know.
crazy, man. That's crazy. But hey, thank you for your service to our country. And if you're a veteran, military member, transitioning service member, if you are listening to this, I want you to know that you matter. That we care about you, and that we just want you to get the information, the resources, and the education that you need, so that you can be in the best position to get the benefits that you have earned and deserve, rightfully so. And again, we want to do things with honesty and integrity, and I want to challenge you to do that. But thank you. If you're tuning in, like, subscribe, comment, share this out if you think this information can be helpful. But again, Dr. Prashant is a board certified psychiatrist. Scrolling at the bottom of the screen in the banner going across is his email. If you do need a Nexus or a DBQ, or you have a question, he is very responsive, and just wonderful. I think one of the best that there are, most honest, integral board certified psychiatrist doctors that do these DBQs and Nexus letters. But his email is here. You can reach out to him at prashant.sharma.vcs@concisepsych.com. So I want to talk a little bit about rumors. There's a rumor mill, and I think we're going towards it. New DBQs that are coming out, and kind of what you're hearing, and what do you think the difference will be with those DBQs?
Yeah, it's a great topic. And yeah, so basically, there's these rumors that there's going to be new DBQs, and then there's also new proposed mental health rating changes as well. So I think that'll be synchronized most likely. Now, the rumors are that they might come out in the next couple of months or in the summertime, but realistically, I think it's going to be next year. Who knows, right? With the VA, at the end of the day, it's like it's really hard to tell. But
What do you think the reason is for these DBQs?
yeah, so I think there's a couple of different reasons. So on the DBQ front first is they want more accountability for where veterans are being referred from and what agencies are working with them. So one of the changes is that there's going to be a spot where you have to write, as the examiner, right? I will have to write where I'm getting that veteran referred from. Okay, so like an agency or organization or something like that. And they're also adding a statement, which I'm not going to get completely right because I'm not remembering it exactly, but basically it says, I swear or I affirm that the above information is accurate. Basically holding the examiner accountable for writing down where that person is being referred from. I think that's getting at, some of these large places that are referring veterans to examiners, and the VA might want to find out where these referrals are coming from, and what organizations are working with veterans. Pretty much.
Sure, sure, absolutely. There has been a lot of fraudulency. I've even talked to veterans who have, paid for reports but never got their report,
Oh goodness.
or, and still don't have it, neither. So, veterans, if you are doing a DBQ or a Nexus, make sure that you get your report. If a company is not giving it to you, that's kind of shady, because you're paying for that report, for that outside medical opinion, or for that disability benefits questionnaire, and it's yours. But I have asked that question to some veterans, and they've said, I've done so and so, and I worked with whoever the company was, and I still don't have my DBQ that I paid for, or my Nexus letter, and I was denied. And I was like, do you even know what was put in that evidence? So I know that's happened, and I think that that's sad, but I think there needs to be more accountability too, in in this area, because veterans aren't a warehouse mill of some sort. Let's just run through. Let's just look at them as cash cows, and let's just write down any and everything that we can write, just so that they're, we don't even know that it's true and it's accurate, right?
Exactly. And that's what I see a lot. And obviously my view is a little bit skewed because a lot of veterans who come to me, if they had a medical opinion done before or a Nexus letter done before, it usually went to a bad outcome. That's why they're coming to me. So my view is a little bit skewed, but I see a lot of Nexus letters that are given out by these mills, and they're very much copy and paste. They're not really customized. You can really see where they're just putting the veteran's name in and XYZ symptoms, and that's why I think it's not compelling for the VA rater who's reviewing it, and it doesn't convince them.
Even in the disability benefits questionnaires, I have looked at one before from a veteran, and there was no even research in that. No literature in there. Just a real simple. It is more likely than not that your mental health or PTSD symptoms have increased since your last evaluation, and that's really it. There's nothing to even back it or to say or to show that definitive proof. And I think that's one of the things that you really focus on, right, when you're doing your DBQs and Nexus, is making sure that the medical scientific literature is backing what you're evaluating and supporting. Am I correct?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think it's medical evidence that the veteran has. So that could be the personal statement, questionnaires that they've done, There's depression inventories, right? Like that measure depression, all that stuff. And then there's the scientific evidence, which you're talking about, which is the scientific articles that prove that nexus between whatever those conditions are that you're trying to prove.
Yeah, absolutely. And when somebody comes to you as well too, they get both of those things pretty much, unless they're just doing an increase, right?
They're true. That's right. Yeah. So with an increase, you don't need a nexus because it's already established.
Already established.
It's a lot more straightforward. So,
Exactly. So I want to talk about the new mental health rating changes, and what do you know about those? Like, what do you think are the differences in the way that they rate? The ratings are evaluated that
yeah.
you've heard about.
Yeah, another great question. So they're really changing the whole paradigm pretty much. So now it's going to be based on specific domains and impairments. So there's a lot of different areas of it, but it includes like relationships, personal relationships, interactions at work, interpersonal interactions in different settings. Cognition, so ability to remember and recall information,
Yep.
ability to concentrate and focus. So it's more based on these different domains and looking at impairments. They're trying to make it to be more objective. Whether or not it does that, I'm not 100% sure. I do think there's certain parts of it that are more objective, but in psychiatry and in mental health, I think no matter what, there's going to be a lot of subjectivity to it.
I agree too. Yep, exactly. When veterans ask that question, mental health, there is a lot of subjectivity because you can't really tell a veteran. Two veterans may have been to Afghanistan, me and you, and there may have been a ton of mortar rounds, and I may have reoccurring nightmares and flashbacks of that, and you may have them once every blue moon. We don't know,
Right.
but every veteran's symptomology is different, and every veteran handles situations, and every person handles situations differently than the next person, right?
Exactly, exactly. And that's why, a lot of people will ask me questions, which they're always really good questions, but I have to usually answer like it depends, right? Because everybody's different and each case is different. So you said it perfectly. It just depends on each veteran. And with the new guidelines, I'm really interested in them, and I'm trying to see, how it's going to pan out. One of the things I do worry about, though, is that the new guidelines are more complicated than the current
Mhm.
guidelines.
Mhm.
With the current guidelines, it's sort of a set of symptoms. You do look at impairments, but it's really looking at these symptoms, and the symptoms fall into these different percentage categories. That's really what it is, right?
Yeah, yeah. So are we doing away with more of just because now it's really based off of occupational and social impairment, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what you can really. Those are sort of the two broad branches, and then it sort of branches more, into different areas. But yeah, and that's the thing. The new criteria, I think it's going to take longer exams. Like the psychiatric evaluation has to be longer, and I just worry about the C&P exams front, where the exams aren't as long typically, from what I hear from veterans and their feedback.
Exactly, exactly. And so my research, I've done a lot of research on it too.
Uh-huh.
And there are 5 domains related to function: cognition, interpersonal interactions and relationships, task completion and life activities, navigating environments, and self-care. So all of those things, you've got level 4, level 3, level 2, level 1, and the cognition may include, but is not limited to, memory, concentration, attention, goal setting, speed of processing information, planning, organizing, prioritizing, problem solvement, your judgment, making decisions, or flexibility and adapting when appropriate. So, it's kind of got like none, mild impairment, moderate in impairment in level 2, level 3 is more severe impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time, or total impairment that occurs less than 25% of the time. And then 4, total impairment that occurs 25% or more of the time, as well. And then you've got your interpersonal interactions and all of that stuff across those 5 domains, if you will. So it's a little more intricate than just hey, how are you impacted occupationally and socially? Are you working or not? No, I'm not working. And does it mean that you can't work? No, it doesn't mean that you can't work. But do you know the difference between are you working in a sheltered environment? Are you working remote? Are you working at home? Are you a manager at an Amazon warehouse? I don't know. But to me, it seems like the mental health ratings now are more straightforward, right? And this seems a lot more complicated.
Exactly. Yeah. And they were trying to go with the World Health Organization guidelines with doing
Yes.
this,
Yeah.
which makes sense from a philosophical standpoint, or from a ideal standpoint. But then again, we do have to acknowledge, like you said, that it's going to be more complicated in figuring out these domains and the corresponding impairments.
The thing that's scary to me is that you're adding more complication, but a huge area that we have is undereducation in the VA claim disability sector, right? We have one of the problems is this, we have raters that there's high turnover. Raters are coming and going and they're getting burnt out. There's this quota that we hear about all the time that needs to be met. So, if you have 20 claims coming on your desk and 2 to 5,000 claims coming into the VA intake center every single day, it takes, I'm sorry, but it takes a degree. It takes 3 to 4 years, a degree time period to learn the 38 Code of Federal Regulations and what the VA needs. So as a rater, you're not a doctor. You're being trained in the 38 CFR, and then you're having to be, make judgment calls on people's lives and their military experience and what they're claiming. And I see a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes. There's more, I think, than ever, higher level reviews that have to be done and appeals that need to be done because there were clear and unmistakable errors in these rating decision letters. And ultimately, the one losing out is the veteran. And then I will also say the doctors are the C&P examiners. So VES, QTC, and Optum are the three entities that are contracted by the Department of Veterans Affairs to find doctors in the local areas, in our communities, to administer and fill out these disability benefits questionnaires. But people are going into these appointments and they're lasting 5 minutes. I know a veteran last week that went into an appointment and was there for, he said, 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes was there and was out. And he's like, I didn't even get a chance to explain any of my symptomology. I was in a mental health appointment for 20 minutes, and was out. And I just don't feel like that was fair to me. And some people are saying, look, this doctor that I talked to, or a psychologist, they were brand new, or they were a nurse practitioner. So there's a lot of uneducation as well too, and I think there's high turnover, and I think the VA needs to acknowledge that they're having a hard time finding providers too, because veterans will get an email that says, hey, Dr. Sharma, you have an appointment coming up here shortly, but we'll get back to you on that date, and it may be a month or two down the line. And the reason why, veterans, is because VES, QTC, or Optum are looking around for a provider. There's not enough providers. And so this just makes your claims sit there a little bit longer. And then when things are messed up, then you got to appeal. And now you're waiting another 6 or 8 months for something that was out of your control. And so with all of that being said, I think that it's worrisome to me, the new DBQs, the new mental health ratings and things like that too. I think it's not so much the DBQs, but the way that they're going to be rating mental health and stuff like that, from the new rating criteria.
Absolutely. And you hit it right there. You hit the nail on the head. It all goes back to volume. I imagine myself, if I was a rater and I'm getting 25 claims a day that I have to review. Are you kidding me? My brain's going to be fried. I mean, I'm going to have to look through everything. I'm going to have to look at the evidence. I'm going to have to look at records that are sometimes like 500 pages for one claim. I'm not going to be able to get through that. Similarly, on the medical providers front, I know definitely for a fact, like you said, these medical providers, it's hard to find them. And each one, they're expected to see a group of veterans every day. And this could be anywhere like 12 veterans a day, 15 veterans a day. It just depends. And I think that's really difficult to see that amount of veterans being able to conceptualize all their cases, look at all the records, and then render an opinion on that, And another thing of mine is is what is a psychiatric evaluation? For me,
Mhm.
yeah, like for me, a psychiatric evaluation has to be a minimum of 40 minutes, 45 minutes. I think typically an hour, but if somebody's really straightforward, it could be like 35, 40 minutes, but I don't say anything less than 40 minutes. And so that's what I worry about with the length of these exams being so short, that it's not going to really capture the true impairments of what the veterans face.
Absolutely. And veterans, in the description of this video, I'm going to add a link, and this will be on my website as well too, for the proposed VA rating changes for mental health conditions. So you can download it. It's going to be available on YouTube. The link will be here, and you can click on it and you can read, get educated. Veterans, I always say you are your best advocate on the changes that are coming about. I have read through it too. It's about a 9 to 10 page document, but make sure that you read it. Make sure that you understand, and always you're your best advocate, and be proactive instead of reactive. I always say that in the VA disability claim world and benefits world, you are your best advocate. Nobody can take better care of yourself or your family than you. Don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to get help. All the time I hear, I hate the VA. I can't stand the VA. I can't stand these things. But I do want to say this. These benefits are some of the best that you can get when you do get them. So don't give up. I put something out today. Don't give up. If you give up, you're going to be in the same situation that you were in whenever you tried to apply for VA disability benefits. Get educated and find out what you need. Get the resources and the education that you need to be in the best position. And do not give up, because if you served, you earn, you deserve. You're a small percentage of the population of this country that serves. So thank you for your service. I want to go into this with you. You speak to a lot of people. You do a lot of evaluations day in and day out, right? Veterans, I always say this: you don't want to exaggerate. You don't want to be false. You don't want to lie. But what is the difference, Doc, between lying and minimizing for veterans?
Another really great topic and question. So, one thing I want to say right off the bat is that, in my opinion, and I have a pretty decent radar for these things. I trained in psychiatry. Obviously, I'm a psychiatrist. I trained at Johns Hopkins. I worked in the emergency room, and I saw a lot of different types of cases, different types of folks. And I have a good radar for when something's not making sense. So I think it's a very small minority of veterans who might be exaggerating or lying or anything. So I just want to put that out there first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it is, like you said in the beginning, it is really important for us, as veterans, to be completely honest in these evaluations. Just tell it like it is. There's a famous Latin saying, res ipsa loquitur, which means the thing speaks for itself. So it's just going to speak for itself if you just tell your symptoms and your story. I know it's challenging, especially with the C&P exams, but just be yourself. Tell your truth. Basically, that's the biggest thing. Now, like you were saying before, there's a balance, right? So you don't want to exaggerate, but you also don't want to minimize. And I think that is much more common. The minimizing is much more common that I see. I've had veterans where I can clearly see in the records that they've been struggling, and when I see them, they're minimizing a little bit, and I have to kind of probe into it and be like, hey, listen, you can be completely honest with me. Tell me about these days when you're not feeling that well and you're just not getting out of bed and you're not taking a shower. And, I read that in the records, and it's not your fault. It's a part of the condition. But let's talk about it, and then it fosters like a really good discussion after that. But I think minimizing is much more common, but it's a balance, right? You don't want to exaggerate. You don't want to minimize. You want to give your truth, so that the VA can give you the appropriate rating, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, lying is saying something that you do not have, or that you do have and you really don't have it. If you aren't, homebound, if you can, pick up more than 20 pounds, don't go and say that you cannot lift more than 20 pounds, but have, Instagram videos of you squatting and throwing up a ton of weight, like just think about that. Those are things when that's clear fraudulency. But minimizing, on a scale of 1 to 10, the VA likes to use that pain indicator scale. The military does. If your back is an 8 or a 9, legitimately out of a 30-day period, make sure that you let them know, hey, Doc Prashant, my back is an 8 at my worst. And remember that a 10 is like you can't do nothing, like you're wheelchair bound and look like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and like you can't do anything, you're almost bound to a wheelchair. But don't over exaggerate that, because once you do that, then your credibility kind of goes down the tube, and it's kind of like, dang, I now I don't know that I can trust this individual and what they're saying. But don't minimize. If you can't get out of bed, let them know. If you're missing work, let them know. Make that known, right? And maybe say, hey, my back right now is a 4, right? But at its worst, it's a 7 or it's an 8, and make sure that you articulate that, and make sure that yourself that, hey, out of a 5-day period, 5 out of 30 days, it's a 7 or an 8 firing on all cylinders, and I can't really do anything, and I'm missing work 2 days a month.
That's right. That is such a good point, actually. You're 100% right. You might be feeling at a level 4 that day with your mental health symptoms, but you want to really talk about the bad days as well, because those are the days that really impact you, right? And bring you down and affect your work and your social relationships. So, one day in your history is just like a snapshot. It doesn't capture everything. So
Yeah. So if you go into your C&P exam, or if I come to see Dr. Prashant, veterans, listen to this, and I go, hey, how you doing today? All is good, and it's a 2, then that's what he's going to take me for. He's going to take me for face value, because that's what I'm articulating to him. But if I don't talk about those bad days, and if I don't talk about, so what you need to be saying is I'm a 7, I'm a 6 or 7. You need to pick a happy medium that you can lay down at night and know that you're being truthful with, of, hey, if it's a 7 and today I'm feeling a 3, how am I feeling today? A 6. You want to let that be known, and you want to be honest about that. Because if you tell them it's a 2, you're kind of screwing yourself. If you say it's a 10, then I think maybe you're over exaggerating. So you need to figure out for yourself, where are you really at? Make an honest assessment. If you aren't keeping track of your symptoms over a 30-day period, veterans, do that. Whether that's mental health, whether that's physical. I tell veterans that all the time. Make sure that you're keeping track of what you're doing, because Dr. Prashant does not live with me every single day, and neither does a C&P examiner. And I'll see that C&P examiner one time in my life, and that rater, I'll never see them. I'll never see them at all. So they don't know you. The only thing that they have to go off of is treatment, what is documented, and the evidence that you present to them. So veterans, guess what? Your treatment falls on you. Your evidence comes from you, right? The way that you articulate comes from you. So if you don't want to talk about it, you're not helping yourself. If you want to minimize, you're not helping yourself. If you lie, you're definitely not helping yourself. It's all going to get exposed. So just make sure that you're honest.
Exactly, yeah. And on that front too, I think, exaggerating or not being honest, it's too much work, right? And it's that old adage, you'll get tripped up in it eventually. It's kind of like if somebody says, they have no support system whatsoever, right? Like no friends whatsoever. But later in the conversation, they're talking about having trouble in social situations, and they talk about going to a barbecue with friends. That's just an example. But what I mean is, like, it's easy to get tripped up, if there's exaggeration. So better not to do that. And then, like you said, on the other front, the minimization, avoiding that, really talking about your symptoms. And I really like the mood tracking idea. So tracking your mood over 30 days, which you can put into a journal, or you can download a mood tracker app. There's a ton of mood tracker apps, yeah, that are completely free. And so you can just log it there, and then use that as a reference as well.
I love it too. And actually, I think I'm gonna find a good one, and I'll have it on this channel for you veterans,
Oh,
and military members. If you're getting out, keep track of that so you can give an honest assessment of yourself when you do go talk to your psychologist or your doctor or your primary care doctor, physician, whatever. That way you can say, hey, here I am. It's a headache log. It's like a headache log. Hey, here's my headache log for the past 60 days, so that you can clearly articulate to the rater or to the doctor, here's the severity of my headaches. Here's how many days I missed work. So do that for yourself. That's an example of being proactive instead of reactive. So make sure that you do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And even better, with having that, one of the symptoms with mental health is difficulties remembering information, difficulties concentrating. So, if you have a mood tracker app or a journal, then you don't have to remember all of that. You've got it recorded down.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. So make sure that you do that, veterans. And also, again, the new mental health rating proposal will be in the description. The link will be in the description of this video. So I want to talk to you something helpful that you've done. I've got to take a look at it. And I really love it. The course that you came up with, the PTSD course, the mental health course. What was the kind of idea? What was the kind of the mission, vision, and goal of that, Doc?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking about that one too. So basically, I've been doing these independent medical opinions or Nexus letters for the past couple of years and DBQs. And over time, there's something really common that I heard from veterans, which is that they have trouble in the mental health care system. This could be in the VA, it could be outside the VA. It really doesn't matter. And they find themselves kind of getting stuck into the system and not understanding what's going on. And they don't have, a provider who's a veteran who really understands. And so they've always been asking me, can you put out some information on this? Or can you put out some videos on this? Things like that. And that's what really led to me developing this course. Before developing it, what I did is I emailed the veterans I'd worked with before, and I said, "Hey, listen, I'm coming up with this course. What do you guys think that I should have in this course? It's going to be for veterans dealing with PTSD and anxiety. What should I include?" And then I got back a ton of information, excellent information, and I just ranked it. I was like, "All right, well, these are the most in-demand topics," and then I just went with them. It came out to like 4 topics, I think, and I just went with them, and then I split it up across 6 modules.
Mhm.
And I've got videos, I've got handouts, there's reference guides. There's a certificate at the end that you can save or print out for your medical records or disability claims. Things like that. That you are being proactive. And you're taking this course that takes you through what PTSD is, what anxiety is in the brain, and how we get it better with different types of techniques. It's not treatment per se because it's not one-on-one. It's something that you do at your own pace, but it's a form of self-paced treatment, that you can do, and education that you can do on your own as well.
Gotcha. I love it. Thank you for doing that. And just another resource that can really help you through your trauma, veterans, military members. And the link is in the description of this podcast. You can sign up for it and do it. Get all the help that you can get as well. So we have that, and then also the Camaraderie Foundation as well too. Veterans, if you need, there's no reason why we can't get the help or the counseling and the things that we need, the resources that we need. So that is also in the description of this video. But thank you for doing that, Doc. I appreciate that, and I'm glad to send that out to people and have that have that link and the ability for veterans to sign up for that in the description of this video. I really appreciate that. So
Absolutely.
I want to ask you, what is your, kind of going back here a little bit, what is your input for veterans personally to make sure that they don't cross that line of lying?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I think you know the one of the best things that I find, because here's the thing with mental health, there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to be introspective about in your mind, and things can change on a regular basis. So maybe a self-evaluation, right? So maybe going through and writing a journal, maybe even taking some depression tests online, which, I have a link of actually tests like that, which I can give to you as well. But
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
awesome. Yeah, so we'll include that, and taking these tests and really looking inside yourself, and Why I say that is then you can start to understand what your symptoms are. And when you write it down, the brain understands it a little bit better when you write things down for a lot of people. And so, for instance, you might be suffering from a lot of anxiety, and it might be taking you out of the present moment when you're, with your spouse at Target or whatever, and you're not really capturing that as a symptom. So you want to do that basically, and that'll get an accurate view of your symptoms and what you need help with and what impairments that you have. And again, steering away from doing any type of exaggeration or anything like that. One other thing that you can do is you don't want to journal about your symptoms in reference to the DBQ or something like that, right? You want to journal about your symptoms, just how it is at baseline, and just see how you feel, and then see how it fits in with the criteria, I think also.
I love that, because veterans, remember, this is replacement income. Okay. And it's replacement for what? Look, it's separate from our retirement. If you're retired, you're getting paid from the DoD a retirement because you did the time, or you were medically separated, or medically retired because the severity of something or an injury was so bad or significant that the MEB and the PEB board, the medical evaluation board and the physical evaluation board on the DoD's part, said, hey, it's bad enough, Doc Sharma, you guys, and you're going to get separated and you're going to keep your benefits, or we're going to give you severance pay, whatever your situation is. Every veteran's different. However, that's why if you don't let anybody know about anything, then it's going to come back and bite you in the butt, really. And then you're going to be like, kicking yourself, stomping your feet, going, what in the world? Like, I should have done that. But, I should have complained about it. But what I guess I want to get at is, this is replacement income, because if your back starts giving you issues, if mental health starts taking you out of the fight and out of work, that's why occupational and social, impairment is so important to articulate on if you are being taken out of the fight since your transition from service back into civilian, life. Because if you're having to take time off, you may not have a boss that understands that. You may have been good at being a mechanic and can't do admin work. You may just not be good at that. You may not be good at talking with people and customer service. And now you find yourself not being able to be a mechanic anymore because your back and your plantar fasciitis and your shoulders bothering you, or you're having a hard time being around people because of the PTSD trauma that you experienced in combat. And how are you going to, that's why I say replacement, because who's paying for that gas? Who's paying for the wear and tear going to these appointments? Who's having to take the time off of work to talk to that psychologist or to get the treatment or whatever and that's also taking away from your incoming and earning capacity, which is impacting your life, and big time, because guess what doesn't stop? Your bills, your rent, your mortgage, those things. And one of the things I know the VA wants to do, and same thing, we're here to try to put you honestly and integrally in the best position to not be homeless. We want to bring that number down. We're in a fight to bring down suicides. Doc, I don't know, is it still 22 a day, suicides a day, 22 a day, or is that number went down? Have we gotten better?
Oh, that's actually, I'm not sure. The last I heard, and which is probably like last month when I was reading up on this, I do believe it's at 22, but I could be wrong. And then need to look
Yeah,
at
so
that.
22 a
Yeah.
day. People are battling with things that we know nothing about, or that are internally, that we maybe walk and pass by in our grocery stores and local communities every day. So, veterans, just, I guess what I'm saying is, I know we were taught to suck it up and the mission is first and all of those things while we're in by our chain of command. And, it's frowned upon to stand in the sick call line and not go to sick call. However, veterans, take care of yourself. Try. The worst thing that could happen is there's a no, but you won't know if you don't try. Don't be afraid, because if you come with the evidence that you need and you articulate the things right, then you're going to be in the best position to put yourself in the best position to win your claim.
A-
That makes sense. So,
Absolutely, absolutely. You made me think of another thing actually as well, which is,
mhm.
you know, get that help, request that help, you know, seek that help. I know it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I know it can be tough in the VA system. It can be tough in civilian. You know, if you've got civilian insurance through your job and you're going to clinics, I know it's tough, but try to get that help because that goes for multiple different things. So you get help, right? So you get that referral to therapy, you also get it documented, right? And so you're building evidence along the way as well. And I think that's also really important. You have to start building that evidence. We keep it inside of ourselves. You know, we, like you said, we suck it up, we keep going, but it hurts us in multiple ways. It hurts us in terms of treatment and getting better, and then also having the symptoms recognized by the VA system, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And the reality of things is as your body progresses and as you grow older and age comes into factor, then, comes into play, then it's going to be a huge factor in what your capabilities and limitations are and stuff. So
That's right.
veterans got to think about that. You aren't going to be able to work that UPS job forever. Eventually there's going to come an end to whatever you're doing, after you get out of the military or now. So but your health is always going to be there with you. So make sure that you take care of that. And if you served, get everything that you can, rightfully so. You are a taxpayer while you're in, right? Unless you're deployed to a combat zone. But you're still a taxpayer. And right now you're a taxpayer as well. And that's where VA disability income comes from, is taxpayer dollars ultimately, from the proposed budget of our taxpayer dollars. So you went a step further and you served this country. So make sure that, again, to recap, don't lie, but don't minimize, right? Know and be educated on the new proposed mental health ratings. Make sure that you're careful. Make sure that you are educated before you submit up your claim. Make sure that you have all the evidence that you need, right? And there is a lot of information and other good YouTube channels out here. I think there's no excuse in 2024 to not have the education, knowledge, or help that you need if you really dig a little bit. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah, the information is there. Your channel, you've got vital knowledge. I mean, you know, you and I have talked a lot about this whole VA disability thing, and your knowledge is incredible. And so, yeah, veterans utilize folks like Blake, veteran claim servants
mm,
for this. And I think it's important, getting that treatment and um, like you said, we're taught to bottle things up, but we have to start getting that care and we have to start getting better, and that it has ripple effects on everybody in your life, right? As you get better, it not only helps yourself, but it helps other folks. And try to fight that guilt. A lot of veterans will talk to me about their guilt. They'll say, well, I was deployed to Afghanistan, but I always thought, disability is for folks who had like limbs lost or things like that. But no, it's for everybody, right? It's for everybody who has had impacts medically or mental health wise from the military service, and a lot of it is mental health, which is behind the scenes, pretty much.
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep, absolutely. Well, Doc, I can't thank you enough. I don't know if there's anything before we hop off of here that you want to say to any veterans listening or anything to recap. But I do want to say this. You can reach out to Dr. Prashant at prashant.sharma.vcs@concisepsych.com. His YouTube channel is also going to be in the description of this podcast, of this video, below. And make sure that you subscribe to it, because he's got so much knowledge, information, and things that you really, really need to hear. Also, his PTSD course will be in the description, of this video as well. And, sign up for it. Definitely. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. It's going to give you more tools to have in your toolbox for the future. But, Doc, is there anything else that you want to say about what we've covered today at all?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of different topics, and I just want to say that thank you for having me on the show, and doing this and all your knowledge, and thank you to the veterans out there as well. When you reach out, I'll do my best to help you. I always give people, the my honest opinion about things after I look over the records, what we can and can't do. if I can't help you, if something is outside of my wheelhouse, I will tell you that. Okay. Because my goal is to help you in this process. I don't want you to waste any money in the process or anything like that. And so, yeah. That's pretty much it. And thanks so much.
I love it. And that's what I tell people too, is that, you're not a dollar figure to any of us. You're a veteran that served, and we just want to provide the education and resources that you need. If somebody contacts us, even myself, you can. It's here below at info@veteransclaimservice.com. I'll do my best to reach out. Even if you comment below, I'll do my best to reach out. I mean, ultimately, I would say that both of us, really care about you, and we want you to get what you need and deserve. And Doc I can attest to that. I can confirm that he's not looking to just scribble things down, just to throw things out there and throw dust in the air and hope that it lands somewhere. You need to make sure, and we want to make sure, that you're in the best position to win your claim, and to make sure that you have the education and the tools that you need to be in the best position to win it. Okay. That's what it's about. Rightfully, honest, integrally, according to the laws and all of that stuff. That's what we want to do. And make sure that you get the help that you need, veterans, and reach out if you need anything. So again, thank you for tuning in today. Like, subscribe, comment, share this out if you find this information helpful. Dr. Sharma, thank you for your time today. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for all that you do for us as veterans. And thank you, more importantly, for your service to our country. I cannot thank you enough. I look forward to more episodes with you. This has been a blast.
Same here.
And we have covered a lot too. So again, like, subscribe, comment, share, send this out if you think that this can be helpful. And there's going to be a lot of useful tools and resources and knowledge and education in the link in the description of this video. So thank you, veterans, military members, transitioning service members. Until the next episode, Dr. Prashant and I are out. Thank you.